You know that feeling, that little nudge, maybe. The sense that if you could just learn one more thing, read one more piece, finish one more course, you'd finally, I don't know, click. That feeling that today's the day you finally get ahead.
Yeah, I think we all know that, Bull, especially now, right? With everything online. Courses, webinars, all promising growth.
Endless promises.
Yeah.
And we collect the certificates, we tick the boxes.
We do. We build this library of knowledge. But does that constant chase, does accumulating all that actually lead to feeling fulfilled?
Yeah.
Or can it become something else, maybe even a trap?
That's exactly what we want to kind of sit with today. This constant hunt for knowledge.
Yeah.
Is it truly getting us where we want to go? Or could it maybe be a way we're avoiding something?
It's a real paradox, isn't it? Because often the more we learn, the more we see just how much we don't know.
Right, that gap just seems to get wider.
And that awareness, that huge space of the unknown, it can actually feel pretty overwhelming. It can almost make you feel, well, stuck.
So just thinking about your own experience, listening right now,
Yeah.
what's your relationship with knowledge like? Is it, comfortable? A security blanket?
Or maybe digging a little deeper. Is there a part of it that's about proving something? Or
Yep.
maybe even, like you said, keeping something else at bay?
Yeah, and just notice what happens in your body when you think about that. That unfinished course, maybe. That book sitting there.
Is there like a tightness, a little
Yeah.
pang of guilt? Or maybe just,
Yeah, exhaustion.
those little physical signals, they tell us so much, don't they?
They really do. It's valuable information.
And look, this isn't about saying learning is bad. Not at all.
Absolutely not.
It's more about exploring this tension
Yeah.
between the promise of knowledge, learn more, be more, and the reality of how it sometimes plays out. Does more information always equal real progress?
Think about a time maybe you took a course or read a book that really promised a big shift, a transformation.
Okay.
Did it deliver fully? Or was there still that lingering feeling of, okay, what's next? What else do I need to learn? That needing more feeling.
Yeah.
This is so key, isn't it? It very makes you wonder, when does that search for the next piece of information become just busy work? Something that keeps us from maybe diving deeper.
What might we be trying not to face when we're always reaching for the next webinar, the next book? There's a story about someone named Elena. It illustrates this so clearly.
Right.
Multiple degrees, countless workshops, seminars, you know the type. Incredible notes. Looked like the absolute picture of growth from the outside.
Totally dedicated.
Right. But inside, she talked about this persistent feeling of emptiness, like a disconnect between all these achievements and how she actually felt.
Wow. So all that external stuff, the knowledge, the certificates, it wasn't filling that internal space.
Exactly. It highlights the limits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to fill an inner need with purely external information only goes so far.
So what happened with her?
Well, she started to notice the pattern, and then she had this moment, a real turning point. She just stopped and looked at everything she'd gathered and asked herself some really direct, honest questions.
Like what?
Like, why am I actually doing all of this? What am I really looking for underneath it all?
That takes guts
Yeah.
to turn inwards like that, especially when the world cheers on the collecting.
It really does. And what she started to see was that this relentless learning was partly a way to manage some really difficult feelings.
Wow.
Fears about not being good enough, anxiety about failing, this deep, deep longing for connection that she just didn't know how to meet directly.
So the knowledge became a buffer.
Kind of, yeah, a shield. It helped her feel safer, more prepared, but it also kept those vulnerable feelings and maybe genuine connection at arm's length.
Right. Shields protect, but they also isolate.
Exactly.
So as you're listening to Elena's story, I wonder, does any of that resonate? Have you ever caught yourself using learning to maybe put off taking a scary step?
Or maybe getting stuck in analyzing your feelings instead of just feeling them, staying in your head.
Yeah. In Gestalt therapy, there's this concept of avoidance,
Yeah.
right? But it's not always conscious running away.
No, often it's much more subtle. It's these patterns we fall into, ways of being that feel safe, maybe even productive, but they keep us stuck in a kind of disconnected state. For Elena, that safe zone was constant learning.
So it looked like progress.
It created this illusion of forward movement, definitely. But underneath, her inner world wasn't really changing. It's like the real desire for growth, the figure, as we might say, was getting lost in the ground of all that activity, all that fear she wasn't facing.
But the key part is she noticed.
Yes, awareness. That was the beginning of the shift for her. Once she saw the pattern, her relationship with knowledge started to change. It wasn't about ditching learning altogether.
No, of course not.
It was about understanding the function it was playing in her life.
Knowledge itself is neutral. It's just a tool.
Exactly. The question is, how are we using it? Is it helping us understand ourselves and the world more deeply? Or is it becoming a defense, a distraction, a delay tactic?
So maybe just take a second right now, wherever you are, bring your attention inside. What's actually alive for you? Any sensations? Thoughts? Emotions bubbling up?
And maybe that familiar thought pops up, but I really do need to learn this before I can.
Right, that resistance is real.
Or maybe there's a quieter feeling, a curiosity. What would happen if I just paused the chase for a bit? If I just was...
Whatever comes up, it's information. It's valuable.
Because real learning, the kind that actually transforms us, often starts not by seeking something new out there, but by getting much more familiar with what's already going on right here inside.
So here's maybe a gentle invitation, something to try. The next time you feel that urge, I need to learn more about X, I should sign up for Y. Just
Pause, just for a breath.
yeah, and ask yourself really gently, what am I actually looking for right now? What need is driving this search?
The answer might not be what you expect. Maybe the deep craving isn't actually for more data points. Maybe it's for connection.
Or belonging, peace.
Or just acceptance. Accepting yourself exactly as you are in this moment. And those things, you can't really find them just by reading another article.
So it's about holding this whole exploration kindly.
Yeah.
Without beating ourselves up.
Absolutely. Knowledge is a gift. It can be amazing. But sometimes, we lean on it like a crutch when maybe we need to learn to walk differently.
So being open to the idea that maybe growth isn't just about knowing more, but about being more present, feeling more, allowing our own unique way of unfolding.
Beautifully put. Stay with that feeling, that inner awareness. Let's keep exploring this, looking a bit deeper into the why this relentless chase sometimes.
Okay, so right now, just maybe check in again.
Yeah.
Physically, any tension showing up? Shoulders, jaw, how's your breath?
These little signals, they're like messengers from our inner state, right?
Yeah.
Reflecting emotions, energy, things we might not even consciously label.
Totally. And what happens inside when you think about, say, deliberately slowing down, taking in less new information for a while?
Does that idea bring up resistance? Like, no way.
Or maybe relief? Like, oh, finally.
Or is there maybe a little anxiety? Fear of missing out? FOMO is real?
It is. In Gestalt, there's this idea of the cycle of experience. Can you maybe walk us through that briefly?
Sure. It's basically a natural flow. It starts with a sensation arising in you.
Okay.
Then you become aware of that sensation. That awareness leads to a kind of energy and impulse to do something, to mobilize.
Right.
Then you take action based on that impulse. And finally, ideally, you reach a point of contact, completion, satisfaction. The cycle closes.
But it doesn't always flow smoothly.
No. Very often it gets interrupted. We might block the awareness, ignore the sensation, stop ourselves before we act, pull back from contact.
What happens then when it's interrupted?
That's where we get what are called unfinished situations or unfinished business, experiences that didn't complete their cycle, and they linger.
So they still have energy. They still affect us.
Yeah, often unconsciously. They can shape how we react to things now, how we make choices, what patterns we repeat.
Okay, so let's bring Elena back into this.
Yeah.
Her constant learning looked like action.
It did, on the surface. But through this lens of the cycle of experience, where might she have been interrupting things?
Maybe. Maybe in that mobilization phase, before taking authentic action based on the real feeling.
That seems likely, doesn't it? She'd feel that inner restlessness, that longing,
Yeah.
become aware of something needing attention.
Right.
But instead of moving towards expressing that authentically or connecting with the feeling directly, she'd pivot back to gathering more information, using learning as the action, but maybe not the action the original impulse was pointing towards.
It sounds a bit like procrastination through perfectionism. That feeling of, I'm not ready yet, I need to know more first.
Exactly. And underneath that is often fear, right?
It's fear of what? Failing? Looking stupid?
Yeah, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, maybe fear of just being seen in our vulnerability. And knowledge feels safer, controlled.
It feels much safer to research than to, say, make the vulnerable phone call or start the scary project.
Totally. It keeps us in our heads in the realm of the intellectual, but the big irony is, Avoiding the feelings doesn't make them go away.
No, it usually makes them stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More persistent.
It really does. So every time Elena reached for the book, instead of sitting with that uncomfortable feeling of not enough, she was, without meaning to, kind of reinforcing that belief.
Like telling herself, see, I do need more knowledge to be okay.
Exactly. And the cycle just keeps going. Seeking, learning, but never quite feeling enough. Never quite landing.
So let's bring it back to the listener again. Thinking about your own life, your own patterns. Where do you tend to get stuck in that cycle?
Is it the endless research phase? The over-preparing until you're paralyzed?
Or maybe the intellectualizing? Talking about feelings instead of letting yourself feel them.
Yeah. And here's a potent question to maybe sit with. What if you just stopped running for a minute? What if you just allowed yourself to be with whatever's here, the sensations, thoughts, feelings, without judging them, fixing them, or trying to learn your way out? What might actually surface?
That can feel scary, though.
It absolutely can. But the Gestalt perspective holds that even our stuck patterns, our avoidances, they have a meaning. They served a purpose at some point.
So instead of judging them,
Get curious. What is this pattern trying to do for me? What function does it serve? Approaching it with curiosity, not criticism, is key.
so why do we reach for knowledge when we feel scared or unsure? What's the appeal?
Well, think about it. Knowledge offers a sense of control, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
In a world that feels chaotic or unpredictable, understanding something, having information, can feel like you have more agency, more preparedness. It can feel safer.
But the shadow side is
Yeah.
getting stuck in your head.
Right. We can become so identified with our thoughts, with what we know, that we lose touch with our body's wisdom, our heart's intelligence. We disconnect.
Think about a time recently when you felt really uncertain about something. What was your first instinct?
Did you dive into Google? Ask everyone for advice? Look for external answers?
And just consider,
Mm-hmm.
what if the deepest answers weren't out there at all? What if they were already inside, waiting to be heard, felt?
Maybe we could try just a tiny experiment right now, if you feel okay with it.
Okay.
Maybe just let your eyes close gently. Take a nice, slow breath. And then just recall a recent time you felt that strong pull. I need to learn more about this. And just notice what happens in your body as you bring that memory up. Any subtle shifts, tension, warmth, changes in breathing.
What are those sensations telling us?
They can be like little clues pointing towards the underlying emotion that was driving the knowledge seeking. Maybe it was anxiety bubbling up, or loneliness, or maybe even a flicker of shame.
And the goal isn't to get rid of those feelings.
Not at all. In Gestalt, the aim is awareness, bringing these hidden patterns, these automatic responses, into the light of our conscious awareness so we can have a different relationship with them.
So not pushing them away, but maybe embracing them, understanding them.
Exactly. Cultivating acceptance, understanding, that's where the possibility for real change opens up.
And it's helpful too, isn't it?
Yeah.
To see the bigger picture, the culture we're swimming in.
Oh, absolutely. We live in a society that places enormous value on intellect, productivity, achievement.
Constantly strive, constantly prove yourself.
Right, there's this unspoken pressure. And in that context, knowledge can feel like currency.
Like the more I know, the more worthy I am.
Kind of, yeah. We
Yeah.
can unconsciously link our sense of self-worth to how much we've learned or achieved. But true worthiness, that's inherent. It's not something you earn.
It reminds me of that idea of projection too. Like we take uncomfortable parts of ourselves, like maybe feeling inadequate,
Yeah.
and we unconsciously put them onto something external. Like, it's not me that's not enough, it's my knowledge that's not enough.
It's a brilliant connection. If only I knew more, then I'd be okay. It puts the solution outside of ourselves.
When really the liberating truth, often hard to grasp, is that we likely already have what we need inside. The capacity for peace, for connection, for resilience. It's here, waiting to be uncovered through presence.
Yeah.
Through just being.
So if someone's listening and thinking, oh, okay, this resonates, but what do I do? What's a small, tangible step?
Okay, maybe try this. Next time you feel that urge, that familiar pull, must learn, need info, just pause.
Breathe.
Yes, breathe. And gently ask inside, what am I feeling right now underneath this urge? What need is driving this? And is there maybe another way I could meet this need right now more directly?
Like with Elena, she started doing that, right? Instead of grabbing the book. She started experimenting, just sitting with the discomfort sometimes, letting the feelings come and go without needing to fix them immediately, going for walks without a plan, journaling.
And what happened?
Slowly, tentatively, she started building this deeper trust in herself, realizing she didn't actually need all the answers lined up before she could feel okay or take a step. Finding a kind of peace, even when things felt uncertain.
Wow. But it wasn't overnight.
Oh, definitely not. It's a process. It's a journey of peeling back layers, of getting to know ourselves more deeply. And it looks unique for every single person.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive for today, maybe the invitation is just to notice. Notice the stories you tell yourself about knowledge.
Yeah. Are those stories empowering you, helping you grow authentically? Or are they maybe keeping you spinning in a familiar but perhaps limiting cycle?
Are they helping you connect more deeply or maybe keeping you slightly removed?
And hold those questions lightly. No need for instant answers. Let them percolate, let them unfold. The real goal isn't necessarily finding the right answer anyway.
What is it then?
It's about deepening the relationship with yourself, cultivating curiosity about your own inner world, and bringing a whole lot of compassion to whatever you find there.
That feels like a good place to pause. Just take one more breath together.
Acknowledge whatever's present for you right now, this ongoing unfolding.
And thank you for exploring this with us today.